If you know me, you will know that my morning walk is like one of the most important parts of my day. That nature and being outside are some of the most enjoyable parts of my life. And so you can imagine my perhaps stress or concern when a couple days ago on my walk, I would say, harried or harassed. It wasn't quite an attack because I wasn't struck, but I was pretty thoroughly uh, harassed by a bird. I think it was a mockingbird, and they are known to be quite territorial, um, especially when they feel threatened. And so I was on my walk the other day. I was rounding a corner in my neighborhood, like a suburban neighborhood, and this bird just came at me, not once, not twice, but three times. And I have been so thrown, or I had been so thrown ever since. And I think I want to take you into how I showed up for myself because I think it's a real skill to develop when we can show up for ourselves. And that's what we're going to get into today. Like when something really scary or upsetting has happened, or even just in times of change, how can we show up for ourselves? How can we, um, be our own coach, be our own support? So yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. I have some, I'm going to share with you, and I keep consulting my notebook here. I'm going to share with you like the steps that I actually took to feel better and to be able to come back to my own center and to trust myself again, to really be okay. Um, yeah, but let me introduce myself first. I am Kay. Kay Lock Culp is my name. I am a coach. I am a writer. I am an artist. And I'm a person who, over the last couple years, has really learned to trust myself and stay true to myself when I did not used to be able to do that almost at all. And, you know, uh, I'm glad to be able to share what's been happening for me, and what's going on my journey in hopes that if you're having similar challenges, that you feel supported and loved, and able to show up for yourself, and stay true to yourself. So, yeah, thanks for being here. Okay. So I think I'm going to set the scene a little bit more. Um, we are moving house. So my husband and I are moving from one state to another state. We're moving from Massachusetts to Maine very soon. Um, and our home that we have lived in for 20 years here, that we raised our kids in, our kids even only moved out about 3 months ago. And um, I am still, I am still mourning that. I mean, there's this, you know, it's great. We don't want them to live with us all of their lives. Our kids are in their 20s now. Like they need to be off doing what they're doing, and so do I. And at the same time, ooh, it's really kind of a tough moment or a tough situation, as I'm really realizing that I'm grieving their childhoods, you know. Um, and somebody said to me the other day, "Oh, well, it's not like you're moving, you know, to a different country or something like that. Like they're still going to be around." And I just thought, that's true, but it's also I can still be okay being in mourning about this. Like it's a life transition, and it's really okay, in my opinion, to be able to see that I'm healing, see that I am in a moment of challenge over that. So that's one thing, like the moving and the relationship with our kids. And we keep saying goodbye, to like eating in restaurants for the last time, going on favorite walks for the last time, seeing friends and loved ones for the last time. We will not live 2 hours away from my mother-in-law as we have for 30 years. Instead, we're going to live 6 hours away. Or a flight away. It will not be the same. And and then so our home is not really our home anymore. Like we've had the kitchen remodeled, we've had the sunroom finished, we've been relentlessly packing and deciding on like the the hutch cabinet that you see behind me isn't coming with us to Maine. So there will come a point where I make a video and that's not there anymore. Like, I mean, it's okay. It's just there's so many decisions to make, and I can really understand why we have not. We've wanted to make this move, my husband and I, for 28 years since we first went on our honeymoon up there, and we've not done it yet. And as I hold something in my hand that I'm having trouble deciding if I should keep it, if I should give it away, or if I should throw it away. There's like hundreds or thousands of those decisions being made about every piece of paper and every elastic band and every note and everything, right? It's just every piece of art, everything. And so that's happening. And then a couple weeks ago, I have some food allergies already that I know about. And a couple weeks ago, for some, like in a completely unanticipated way, I discovered that I have another one. And then the day before yesterday, I discovered that it looks like I even have another one. And so I'm like, what the hell do I eat? So there's that. Um, and then this bird situation happened where I was on my walk. I usually take such comfort in my walk, and this bird just like flew at me again and again and again. It was so scary. And in the midst of it, and I think this is something I really wanted to share with you is because I've just realized it for myself. Um, I wasn't aware. So for me, awareness and having an understanding of like what the hell's going on in here is really important for me. And I did not have awareness about the depth of all of these, the impact of all of these changes and these quite scary, health challenges and you know, the bird attack kind of situation. And wasn't aware of the impact that these had on me until yesterday was when I started to become aware of it. So I reached out to a person who is a very dear friend of mine. And I didn't realize it in that moment, but I asked this person a question that was not a minding my own business question. I basically asked them something about themselves, a pretty personal question about their journey. That it really, like, in when I'm feeling well, I don't ask those kinds of questions, because I know that that's not minding my own business. And so yesterday I was not minding my own business when I asked this person this question, and what I received back was a boundary setting, and it not an even an unkind, but like a neutral boundary setting is what I received back. And oh my goodness, the shame and the embarrassment that I've been feeling since I received that feedback of, hey, mind your own business. This is not yours, right? Um, and I mean, at first I just felt like the most horrible person for asking. I felt like just so messy inside myself. And I this is where I think well, so I'm thinking of this video as the subject of it really is like we can show up for ourselves. We can support ourselves through challenging moments. Um, one of the questions that I have, understood is in the zeitgeist, similar to, how do I know if I have ADHD? Is like, how do I know if I need a coach? Or even, I would say, even, how do I know if I need a therapist? And so just right here and now, the way that I've understood when I needed a therapist was when I was having a really hard time healing from deep past hurts or situations going on for me. So, for example, I lost the ability to use my hands more than about 5% of like a typical person. So, I couldn't pour my own coffee. I couldn't twirl spaghetti. I needed support washing my hair. It was nuts. Like, and I lived like that for years. Even today, I only have about 50% of the typical person's use of my hands. But when I first became unable to use my hands almost at all, that was definitely a great time for therapy. And it opened up for me, a wonderful relationship with the therapist. And previous to that, I'd gotten support on other, not that I want to make this about today's video about this, but I was sexually abused as a 7-year-old child. And the support that I received on that as a young adult, I'm still here because of it. Like there are great reasons to consult and see a therapist. I am not a therapist by trade, I'm a coach. And so the way I've come to think of it is that the difference between therapy and coaching is that therapy is for healing from past hurts, and coaching is for building the future. And sometimes it's therapists can do both of those jobs very well, and sometimes coaches can too, but not in a, at least I personally am not a qualified therapist. Like I don't have a license to be a therapist or anything. So I'm not a therapist, like absolutely not. What I am is a coach who's really good at helping people envision the future that they want and then go for it. Right. And so today, what I really did, or what I want to share with you that I was able to do was I did that for myself. And I just want to address this too. Like, if you're a person who's asking yourself, do I need a coach? Maybe you do. I mean, coaches are awesome. Like finding a great coach is amazing, and there's one out there for you, um, if you're open to searching, right? But yeah, you might. There's lots of great options if you're looking for a coach, but you can see yourself through tough moments. And so yesterday, when I had felt that embarrassment and kind of mortification of like, wow, I overstepped a boundary, I made a mistake, I fucked up. Um, And now, but I mean, because my feeling was like, maybe this person's really mad at me. Maybe they will never be my friend anymore. Um, maybe I've ruined something really important to me. And uh, if you've ever been in a position like that where you overstepped a boundary or did something that you are not proud of, I mean, I feel that. That's certainly how I felt. And I think what I did about it was I have this there's a mindfulness and meditation podcast that I really love. It's 10 minutes, which is just right for my brain. I really love 10. Sometimes I'll do longer sits, but I really like a 10-minute uh mindfulness meditation. So like I did yesterday as I was realizing that I felt really hurt. Like I didn't even understand what was going on in here. I just knew that I'd made a mistake. I was worried about the consequences of it, and just feeling that boundary. Um, and so I really, last night, I just gave myself permission to just process. I went and made some art. I don't have it here. I got to visit a rhododendron sanctuary about a couple weeks ago, and I I've been making these little tiny paintings. Well, I say that. I had been making these little tiny paintings, and with all the move and the everything here in an upheaval, I had sort of gotten out of that daily practice. And so last night, I went and cultivated it again. And you know, I packed up some boxes. I tried to do some things that I listened to some music that I really like. Like I tried to do some things that are moving us forward on this journey, but also are just good for me personally. You know what I mean? Like making art is a way that I can be out of my head, be in flow. I always feel better and refreshed after I come out of like just for the hell of it, for the sake of the art itself and playing, making art without any pressure or expectation. So I did that. And then today, like I there again, I listen to, there's a podcast called Nothing Much Happens, which is wonderful for like getting to sleep. So last night I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep. I knew I would have a really hard time getting to sleep if I didn't support myself in this way. So I put on this podcast, Nothing Much Happens. I believe the one I listened to last night was called Sidewalk Chalk, which is I think a relatively new episode that the podcaster has put out. And I probably got, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours maybe of pretty good sleep, which says to me that like sometimes sleep is the hardest thing to get because we'll just torture ourselves with what we did wrong, right? And how bad we feel about it. So I'm going to just celebrate myself for that. I'm proud of myself. And then this morning, this was what I really wanted to share with you. So I have 4 steps. Actually, I see 3, but there will probably be a fourth in my notes. This was how I saw myself through this morning I realized, okay, it's time to kind of show up for yourself, be your own coach, like uh, take the time today to just be curious about what is going on for you. And I almost think of it as like a self peer um, coaching session is kind of what I did today, or art emergency, which is another way that I will sometimes talk about the books, the books that you can see up there behind me. Those are pictures in watercolor books, and sometimes those are I call them my art emergency sketchbooks, and they come with me. I've got a current one that's almost full actually, and um, it's just nice to have them to remember where I was. One of those is Cape Cod. Actually, both of those are Cape Cod if I think about it. Um, and yeah, I can do some art merge. So today I was thinking about it as either self-peer coaching or in other words, being my own peer, or an art emergency coaching session. And what I did was I went on a walk and at the same time I put on a 10-minute mindfulness podcast because I knew I wasn't going to be able to have time for both of those things unless they were together. So that's what I did this morning. And the mindfulness episode that I chose was about dealing with negative emotions. And I remember there was one important reminder on it, which was a lot of times when something's happening, when big things are happening, this is what the podcaster says. We are told, don't just sit there, do something. And in meditation, apparently what they say is, don't just do something, sit there. And it was a really welcome invitation to know that I can sort of be outside of my thoughts and I can see the self-talk in here without getting involved in it. And that was really where I started to notice these feelings of like shame or embarrassment. Um, and just be able to say, oh, that's interesting. Like I see what my brain is doing, you know, which I didn't used to be able to do that. So that feels like a really useful skill. And then the second thing that I did was I got some quality me time. So I set a timer this morning. I put on, my family thinks I listen to the weirdest music um, when I'm in a zone of painting or just I would say even self-care. Like I just listen to what they think of as really strange music, but it works for me. So I put on some of that. I moved and danced a little bit, and then I set a timer for 10 minutes. And I, again, just worked on these little miniature rhododendron paintings with no pressure, with no expectations about like how good they were, or how strong of even of a painting they were. I was solving the problem, quote unquote, of like, okay, now I have this petal. How do I make this forest setting look like it really looked? Like I can be super objective when I look at the art in that way instead of like being upset about, I don't know, how something sticks out or whatever. Um, and so yeah, I gave myself 10 minutes to do that. And then I made some tea and I sat down with my journal and I imagined myself into an actual coaching conversation with myself. And the question that I asked myself, the question I brought was, what do I most want to be seen or understood about right now? And what was really interesting was it didn't have anything to do with this friend that I had reached out to and then been told to mind my own business. It had to do with the bird attack or with the bird harassment. I don't know how to say this. Bird buzzing. We'll call it that. Um, that because I got buzzed by this bird, right? And I just said I gave myself the permission to just say out loud, I was scared that day when the bird buzzed me like that. And ever since, I have been scared to be outside. I have been scared, like even on my walk this morning. And I'm feeling emotional about it, and that's okay, right? Even on my walk this morning, I was imagining birds ready to dive bomb me in every tree, on every corner, in my regular neighborhood, because that's where this happened, right? It's funny because the only place that I felt safe from that was there's this place near me. It's a big wild place. It's like a big, huge, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 acres of woods. There's like an old sand or gravel um, place there. So like it's just this big, empty, wonderful place. A lot of pine trees, a lot of chickadees, and I felt truly safe there on my walk this morning. And but everywhere else, I just was so up in my head about being dive bombed again by birds. So like I was just triggered on every moment of something that is usually a great experience for me. And so that's what I wanted to be most seen or understood about. And then I did this technique that as a teacher and as a teacher of parents or as a guide coach for parents, I used to find this very useful to teach to others. And I did it to myself today, which is to say, I literally reflected my own words back to me, to myself. I said to myself out loud, I said, wow, you were feeling really scared when that happened on Monday. And then even on your walk today, you felt like you were seeing birds ready to dive bomb you at every moment. And it was really scary. And like, and then I stopped talking and I just felt truly seen and understood. And that's new growth for me that I can bring that for myself in that way. And if I think about it, what's really interesting to me is the person who I reached out to. I wasn't reaching out for support. Like I wasn't saying to them, "Hey, can you help me with this problem?" They're wonderful. They're a really good friend, and they've been a great support, as friends can be. And but I didn't reach out saying like, "I'm going through something. Do you have a minute?" Instead, what I said was, "Hey, what's going on with you in this thing that you're doing?" And I noticed, I'm noticing right now, to be honest, that like when I am feeling most troubled inside, it's much easier for me. And in that moment of like not awareness, it was much, much easier for me to just involve myself in somebody else's business rather than like attend to my own. And that's like learning that's happening for me sort of right now. Which is meaning about this particular situation. So the way that I handled that yesterday, I when I reached out initially, I think if I'm really being honest with myself, I was wanting some kind of comfort or just camaraderie, somebody to say, "Hey, I'm on the journey too, and here's what I'm going through, and here's what's happening for me." And when I got back that boundary, it really, it was quite, if I think about it, quite a gift because as much as it felt harsh, and it wasn't, I really want to reiterate that it was not harsh at all. It was just somebody establishing a boundary, um, in the most gentlest way that you can. And but my what I did with it was because I hadn't realized why I'd reached out in the first place. I took it, I took it really hard, and I'm seeing it as a gift now because what it's done for me is it brought me back to what's going on in here, what's going on in my head, so that I can, do what I basically did today, and understand myself better. So, um, mindfulness meditation, a little bit of creativity, just doodling, and today I was finishing up paintings is what I was doing, and I was doing it in that same place. If somebody might like doodle or journal or whatever, just stream of consciousness, flow state for a few minutes. And then I sat down with a cup of tea and I said to myself, okay, what's really going on here? Like, what do you most wish to feel understood or seen about right now? And to be able to kind of reflect on that and feel that for myself, I do feel better. So, and I wanted to share, not because I want you to do this for yourself, right? I think if you do, that's great, right? I wanted to share, most because I'm super curious for you what what you might what it opens up for you to know that somebody in the world somewhere who has not in the past done a very good job taking care of herself or supporting herself, um what when someone like that can grow into someone like this who can do this for myself, what does that open up? Like, Where are you on this journey? Maybe you're further along than I was years ago. Maybe you're closer to where I am now. And um, what does it open up for you if you can recognize your own patterns? This is a pattern of mine, reaching out in times of stress to mind somebody else's business instead of my own. Um, and yeah, what does it open up for you if you're open to that? Because life is I feel much more settled. It's like much better on this side of all of this. Um, and I did actually, I'm celebrating myself because I did go on a walk this morning, even though I was scared about the birds. And, I remembered too, or I am remembering that emotions, the way I've heard it said is emotions have a half-life. And so giving myself grace while these emotions are sifting out is kind of the work right now. And I've decided that I'm going to, we'll be, we will not be settled in our new home until probably mid-September. And so that's like 6, 7 weeks of insanity before I can even think about not having insanity anymore. Um, with all kinds of emotions, with all kinds of physical things that need to be done, with all kinds of crazy logistics. I forgot to mention this. We're purchasing a car in the middle of all this, and then we're going to attempt to move states. It's just like, all the just the visits to the registry of motor vehicles, in 2 states, like is enough to make my head explode sometimes. And um, but there are these patterns that are not serving me anymore. And so today feels like a declaration of that. And my intent is that the end of each week, I'm going to just have a little half-hour self-peer coaching session, art emergency coaching session for myself, where I go through these steps. I do a little meditation and mindfulness. I play with art for 10 minutes, and then I ask myself some kind of question similar to this one. It might even be this one again, but um, and I wanted to share that with you today if you found that might be useful for you. So, yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you've got questions or I don't know, anything you want to share, please do in the comments would be amazing. I am intending to make videos based on the questions that people have. So wherever you are on this journey of trusting yourself, if you've got questions about it, I'd love to hear them because then I can make you a video specifically to address your questions, right? I love those kind of Q&A videos. So, um, yeah, so that's what we've got coming up for the future. Again, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you for our next one. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.